All right, so for number 35, we have
What about your introduction?
oh, hey guys, it's your old pal Dom. I'm coming at you with another video. Up top, for number we're gonna be doing number 35. So for it says if f(x) is equal to x squared minus 5x minus 7, you have to find the value of each function. So number 35, where it says f is, and then in parentheses it has the square root of 6, you're basically saying that x is going to be the square root of 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug in the square root of 6 for every x that we see. So it's the square root of 6 squared minus 5 times the square root of 6, and then we're going to have minus 7. And so from here we are going to just solve with our systems of equations. So the square root of 6 times the square root of 6 is going to be 6, and then you can't change anything with 5 times the square root of 6, so this could be minus 5 square root 6, and then you can't change anything about the 7, minus 7. So it, wait, yeah, so we have negative 7 and 6 over here. So negative 7 plus 6 is going to be negative 1. So our final answer is going to be negative 1 minus 5 to the square root of 6. Mr. Frankie, should I erase it now to go on to this one?
No, I just...
Alright. So for number...
Oh,
yeah. So this is our answer. And then for number 41, it says show that in parentheses 4 plus the square root of 7 and 4 minus the square root of 7 are roots of the equation x squared minus 8x plus 9 is equal to 0. So first we're going to, basically what it's saying is that x is going to be alright. So basically x is going to be the 4 plus the square root of 7. So we're just going to plug that in for every x that we find. So we're going to have square root of 4 plus square root of 7. And that's going to be squared. And then we're going to have minus 8, and then in parentheses 4 plus the square root of 7, and it's going to be plus 9 is equal to 0. So to show that this equation is equal to 0, we're going to have to solve it. So basically 4 plus the square root of 7 squared is the same thing as 4 plus the square root of 7 times 4 plus the square root of 7. And then this is a system of something. So you got to go 1 and 2, and then 1 and 2. So 4 times, or this one goes right down there. So 4 times 4 is 16, and then 4 times the square root of 7 is 4 square root 7, and then negative 7 square root of 7 times 4 is going to be also going to be 4 square root 7, and then the square root of 7 times the square root of 7 is 7, so it's plus 7. So down here we have this whole thing down here is going to be for up here. And so next we have our second part of our equation, which is negative 8 times, well, we're going to be distributing this to that, and negative 8 to the square root of 7. So negative 8 times 4 is negative 32. And then negative 8 times the square root of 7 is going to be negative 8 root 7. and then we're just going to be adding 9. So coming back all the way down here, we're going to have minus 32, and then minus 8 root 7 plus 9. So we got a big long list here, and we're just going to start combining similar terms. So that's a 4. So we're going to combine the 4 and the 16 and the 7, and then the 7 and the 9. And so 16 plus 7 is 20 something. Well, 16 plus 9 is 25, and then 25 plus 7 is 32. So we have 32, and then we're going to subtract 32 right here. That's our 32 from down here. And then we have similar terms over here, which is 4 root 7 plus 4 root 7 is 8 root 7. So we're going to have 8 root 7, and then we're also going to have 8, and then we have 8 root 7 over here, but it's negative 8 root 7. So this is equal to 0, and this is equal to 0. So it does this. So the in parentheses 4 plus the square root of 7 is equal to 0, and that's proved right here, because 0 plus 0 is equal to 0. I need more room for the next part. Alright. Alright, now for the second part of this equation, we have to show 4 minus the square root of 7, and we got to plug that into the equation over here as x, and so we are going to have 4 minus the square root of 7 in parentheses squared, and then minus 8, 4 minus the square root of 7, and then plus 9 is going to be equal to 0. So now that we have this, oh, that's a cool ball on ya. So now we have, like we said before, the squared means that we're going to have two of the same equation. So it's going to be 4 minus the square root of 7, and then we're going to have 4 minus the square root of 7. Oh, that was not right. Sorry about that, folks. 4 minus the square root of 7. And so we're going to have to do our rainbows and smiley faces. And so 4 times 4 is once again 16, and then 4 times the square root of negative 7 is going to be, so it's going to be minus 4 root 7. And then coming down to our smiley faces, we have negative 7 times 4, which is also going to be minus 4 root 7. And then negative 7 times the square root of negative 7 times the square root of negative 7 is going to be positive 49. And the square root of positive 49, which is plus 7. So now we have this part taken care of. We can go ahead and move on to our next part of the equation, which is negative 8, and then in parentheses 4 minus the square root of 7. So negative 8 times 4 is negative 32. And then negative 8 times the square root of negative 7 is going to be minus 8 root 7. And then plus 9, but we can add that in later. So here we have minus 32 minus 8 root 7, and then plus 9 is equal to 0. So now we have a big old line again. So we're going to add it all up, and then we're going to combine similar terms. So 16 goes with 7, and then that also can be added with 9. And from last time we learned that 16 plus 7 plus 9 is 32. So we have 32 over here again. And then we still have that minus 32. And that's equal to 0. And then negative 4 root 7 minus 4 root 7 is going to be negative 8 root 7. And then we have another negative. We have positive. Sorry about that. Up here, since a negative times a negative is a positive, it's going to be positive 8 root 7. So that's a plus instead of a subtraction sign. So plus 8 root 7. And that is going to give you 0. Also showing that 4 minus the square root of 7 is equal to 0. 0 plus 0 is equal to 0. Thank you everyone for watching Dom's show of math and mystical wonders. I'll see you all next time.